Tenders and Turntables is the 15th episode of Thomas and Friends, and this is a really great opportunity to get to see Gordon, Henry and James in more detail. And they have a bit of a problem with the turntable, and primarily it's Gordon who's got a problem with the turntable because he's just much too large for it. It's difficult for him to maneuver onto it and then to make sure that he's exactly on it where he needs to be, because if his wheels are just ever so slightly too far out, it's obviously not going to work. And some of the other engines make fun of him for this, namely Thomas and also James. But then James has a problem, and James is much too light. And on a very windy day, the turntable ends up spinning him round and round and round. And Gordon happens to see that, and that's not exactly something he feels very proud of, to say the least. And the engines have a meeting and decide that something must be done about this. And I won't say what it is, because it carries on into the next episode, which I haven't watched, but I'm quite keen to see. I think this is the first time where an episode's actually ended on a cliffhanger. There have been episodes that have referred back to the previous episode, but to actually have to watch the next episode to find out how this is resolved or anything, it's the first time it's happened, and I'm curious to see what the next episode is like. But definitely Tenders and Turntables is quite cute. There's a message there about not making fun of people for their size, as we see with James making fun of Gordon, and then James ends up having a sticky situation as well, despite his smaller size. I'm keen to see kind of what the ultimate message is and how they wrap things up in the next episode. But this one is a nice look at the engines. We didn't have too many shots of the engines on long tracks, because most of the shots are on the turntable, but I love watching it, especially when Gordon's on it and everything moves slowly around. It's just, I don't know, I find it really fascinating and really quite fun to watch. I have to say, Tenders and Turntables is something I've enjoyed quite a lot, and I'm really keen to see what they do with the narrative in the next episode. Oh, and something else that I did want to mention, the vocabulary is very interesting. Usually the vocabulary, aside from train-based terms, is very straightforward and ideal for the target audience. But this one used the phrase indignation meeting, which is a meeting you have when you want to complain about something. And I thought, that's a big word for or a big phrase for a very young audience. So I was a bit confused about that. They could have just said meeting. But that aside, the vocabulary is definitely good for the target audience. A lot of train-based terms in here as well, which is always something that I enjoy, because like most people, well, like most children, but also I'm an adult, like most people, I do love trains, and I love learning about trains, and this episode is no exception.